Okay, so we all know artificial intelligence is just exploding, right? It's growing at this absolutely mind-bending pace, and it's changing everything. But what's powering it all? Behind the magic on your screen, there's this massive physical infrastructure, and it has a very, very thirsty secret. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the hidden environmental cost of AI, specifically its enormous water footprint, right here in Canada.
So let's just jump right in with a question to make this real for you. Have you ever actually stopped to wonder what it physically takes to get an answer from an AI? I mean, it feels instant, it feels like magic, but it's deeply, deeply connected to one of our most vital resources.
Get this, a single 100-word AI prompt, just one, uses about 519 milliliters of water. To give you a better picture, that's more than a can of pop. Now, think about that. And then multiply it by the billions of prompts being typed in every single day around the world. All of a sudden, the scale of AI's thirst becomes very, very real.
So, why are we focusing on Canada? Well, it's because the country is right in the middle of what you could call an AI gold rush. It's quickly becoming a global hub for the data centers that are, basically the brains of this whole operation.
And just look at the money behind this. It's wild. The market for these AI data centers in Canada is projected to absolutely skyrocket, jumping from $500 million in 2025 to over $2 billion by 2030. That's a growth rate of almost 34% every single year. This isn't just growth, folks. It's a boom.
So why Canada? What is driving this massive wave of construction? Well, it turns out it's this perfect storm of advantages. You've got tons of cheap hydropower, a naturally cold climate, which is a huge bonus for cooling all those hot servers, and really strong government investment. Plus, as the US market gets kind of crowded, a lot of that AI work is just spilling over the border, making Canada a super stable and attractive place to set up shop.
And the energy part, that is a huge piece of the puzzle. Canada's clean energy, especially all that hydropower, is a massive, massive draw. I mean, you look at a province like Quebec, and its electricity is almost entirely renewable. For the big tech giants trying to hit their own green targets, that's an absolute game changer.
But here's the catch. All that clean energy and that nice, cool climate, it can't hide a pretty major problem: the incredible amount of water these places drink up.
The numbers here are just staggering. By 2031, it's projected that data centers in Canada will be using over 99 billion liters of water every year. That's a number so big it's kind of hard to even wrap your head around, and it's growing by 7.5% every single year.
So to bring that giant national number down to something we can understand, check this out. A single Microsoft data center in Etobicoke, Ontario, has been approved to use up to 1.2 billion liters of water a year. One facility, that's it.
And even a standard 1 megawatt data center, which is actually pretty small in this world, can churn through 25.5 million liters of water a year just for cooling. Just for cooling. That's the same amount of water that about 300,000 homes use in a day.
And it's important to know how they even measure this stuff. It's basically two things. First, you've got direct water use. That's the water physically used right there on site to keep the servers from overheating. But then you've got the indirect use, all the water it takes to generate the electricity that powers the whole building in the first place. Both of them add up to AI's total thirst. So this massive demand for water, it's not just some big abstract number on a national report. It's creating very real, very local tensions and even conflicts in communities all across the country. This quote from a resident in Rocky View County, Alberta, really gets to the heart of it. There was a plan to build a huge data center there, and it was met with this fierce opposition from local people, especially farmers, who were way more worried about protecting their prime farmland and the water it needs to survive.
And that wasn't just a one-off thing. In Innisfil, Ontario, a big project got shut down because people were worried it would drain their local wells. And in Alberta, like we just heard, the local government actually sided with the farmers. Communities are starting to stand up and ask, hey, are the economic perks really worth the environmental price?
So what we're seeing is this really fundamental conflict playing out. On one side, you have Canada's incredible natural beauty and resources, its fresh water. And on the other, you have the shiny, power-hungry machines of our digital future. How in the world do you balance those two things? Now, faced with this big challenge, the industry isn't just sitting around. All this pushback, plus the very real risk to their operations, is actually driving some incredible innovation. The goal? To make the cloud cooler and a whole lot less thirsty. And you know what? They're already making some pretty big moves. As you can see right here, over half, 54% of the water used by Canadian data centers today is what's called non-potable, and that means it's not drinking water, which is a huge, huge step in the right direction.
So what is non-potable water exactly? Well, simply put, it's water that isn't safe to drink. It's often sourced from stuff like treated wastewater from our cities, or maybe industrial gray water, or even just rainwater they've collected. Using this stuff instead of our precious fresh water is probably one of the most important things we can do for a sustainable digital future.
And companies are already doing it. Check this out. In Calgary, a structure is building a campus that'll get 80% of its cooling water from treated city wastewater. In Montreal, Vantage is actually taking its waste heat and exporting it to help warm the city. In Toronto, Microsoft and Equinix are making money off their waste heat and using deep lake water to cool things down. These are awesome real-world examples of some seriously cool innovation.
Yeah, this whole heat sharing thing is a brilliant example of community integration. Instead of just being a drain on resources, these data centers can actually become part of a loop. They can turn their waste heat, which is a problem for them, into a valuable asset that helps heat the rest of the city. That's just smart.
So all of this, it brings us to a really fundamental question about the path forward for Canada and its place in this whole AI revolution.
This quote from an industry expert really just nails it. The demand for AI is there, the growth is pretty much inevitable. So the real deciding factor is whether we can provide the power, and just as importantly, the water, in a way that's sustainable and predictable.
At the end of the day, Canada has a massive opportunity here. It's not just about being a leader and hosting all this AI stuff. It's about defining what sustainable digital infrastructure looks like for the entire world. It's a chance to build the future, but to actually do it the right way.
Look, the AI revolution isn't coming. It's here, and it is only getting bigger. It's going to be powered one way or another. So the question this all leaves us with is a really simple but a really profound one. How will we, all of us, choose to do it?